I'm Marc Ambrosia, and this is Rapid Fire. The first CD I ever bought was a Sam Goody with some allowance money from my dad, and the CD was called Church, Songs of Soul and Inspiration, and it was a compilation that was produced and mixed by a woman named Tina Rex Clark, I believe, and it was a compilation of a bunch of different artists singing sort of good old soul gospel songs. People like Patti LaBelle, Jennifer Hudson, En Vogue was on there, Patty Austin, Dionne Warwick, a bunch of just awesome people. That was the first CD I ever bought. It was Bonnie Raitt at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia. I was, I think, a freshman or something in high school at the time, and it was my first concert, and I asked my dad when the tickets were announced that, if we could go and see Bonnie Raitt, and his response, as someone who doesn't like to leave South Jersey much, was, "Can't we just watch it on YouTube?" Luckily, he caved and bought the tickets. I remember vividly having a Stevie Wonder t-shirt. I think he had put out some sort of best of retrospective album or something at the top of the 2000s, and I think the shirt I had was like the cover art of that project, and so I remember vividly wearing that shirt for a long time. Yeah, I think it was 2011, with my old singing and songwriting partner Shane Rojas, and I booked a whole bunch of shows for us, and we didn't really have that many songs written yet, and then suddenly all these venues were saying, "Yeah, sure, come play." And so, they'd want us to play for 2 hours, but we only maybe had 15 minutes worth of original songs. So we had about 3 weeks to really write a shit ton of songs to be prepared to play for this set. And, we ended up doing it. We had some songs that were total puff, songs that were not very good, but got the job done. And then, as we kept playing and booking more shows, we slowly started to weed out the not so good songs and then throw in the cream of the crop. Then, as the years went on, we just got better and better, and the set lists reflected that. First time singing was publicly was probably 2005, 2006. I was cast as a guard, a church play, when I was 10 years old, and I had this solo in the program, and that was just sort of everyone's sort of like, "Oh, that kid has this voice, where did that come from? We've got to get him singing more often." And then before I knew it, I was singing in a whole bunch of different churches throughout New Jersey and into other states, other nearby states too. So that's sort of how it all began. Shane and I definitely played some shows for very, very, very small audiences that pretty much drove with us to the gig and helped to set up, So between Shane's parents and my dad and maybe one or two others, that was probably our smallest audience was, 6 people, and they were all relatives. But, flip side of that, biggest audience, I got to open shows for Lisa Loeb and Sasha Dobson and at the Beacon in New York, and those were big shows. And when my first album came out and I had a band and we were out, doing sort of small mini tours and promoting that record, we got to play some great big festivals that really drew a engaged audience. And, people, we weren't just playing background noise, people were actively listening to us and paying attention. And so that was pretty cool. I'm not exactly sure of the exact number, although I think some of the festivals we were playing, would draw 50, 60,000 people. So, obviously I wasn't playing for that many people, from on stage. But I mean, I would, definitely say a couple thousand were there and intently watching. So, so it's run the gamut of 6 people who were relatives watching me to, thousands of people who I didn't know who were watching me perform, and that's electrifying. That's really, really cool. Well, I mean, anybody on the face of the earth Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac. I would love to collaborate with both of them. I would love to, I'd love to have Lindsey produce my next record. So, hey, Lindsey, if you're not busy, give me a call. In terms of maybe more attainable collaboration goals, when I recorded my first record, Footprints, a buddy of mine named Zach Jaworski played drums on that record, and we haven't played any music together since maybe a couple shows on that Footprints tour, and I'd love to make some music again with Zach and have him do some drumming on my next record. So Zach's top of the list for sure. But I mean, anybody who's willing to collaborate with me, I'm always open to that, and I'm always thankful for anybody who lends their talents to something I'm working on. I got to tell you, I recently became a huge fan of the band Death Cab for Cutie, who I had known. I knew like I Will Follow You Into the Dark and maybe like Soul Meets Body, but there were a lot of other things that I wasn't aware of, and boy oh boy, I sort of have been listening to them a lot in recent weeks, and I'm really, really big fan now. I actually just saw them in concert too. It was like 2 days after I became a fan, they happened to be coming to Philly, and I went and checked them out and put on a great show. One comes to mind right away. I had, a few years back, I had signed with a manager who was just not quite the best fit for me. The partnership didn't last all too long, but she had booked me for what I was told was a private event for entrepreneurs, and I'd be able to go play for an hour, just play like 8 songs or something, and and meet some good people who are in the, who are important and can maybe give you a leg up. And that was not what happened. What happened was I showed up with my band, and we were pretty much playing to, middle-aged women who were selling Tupperware and Tastefully Simple. Not what I was expecting. They were into it though, I will say they were into it, and they were, lovely ladies, but it was certainly not what it was hyped up to be. But that's sort of, how things go sometimes. Sometimes it's, you don't believe the hype.